Cursa. And now I see it's like a mix of Cursa and the Megabug. Defeat Cursa.
We did it! She is finally free from Cursa's grasp. Once more we have rattled Cursa. I sense her hatred towards us, the most savage and intense yet. I believe I am scared, Beepo. Not just for myself, for all of us.
We're scared too, Genie. It's as normal and as natural as emotions come. Try to focus on the task at hand.
Yes, of course. Those projections there. Take note of them. I believe she created them to harness the collective energy of our weapons to amplify the power of her wand.
So hit
if
those?
If we charge the wand enough times, it may help us disable Cursa's defenses, allowing us to strike directly at Cursa.
So is it stole the 3 squads? I guess there's 3 phases. Yeah, it stole the 3 squads. Okay. So I should bring water for Mario's squad, I think. Hold on. I can do that. I really didn't take damage on my other Dudos. Maybe it just automatically healed them. So still have fire over here. But hold on. Mario's probably gonna want water. I think here. Maybe I'll just do that. Or maybe Vamp actually isn't a bad idea. And then, yeah, there's electric dashing. Maybe I'll even put on electric attack because it seemed like there was a bunch of water guys over there. Right? Is what it kind of seemed like. Yeah, a bunch of them. And what other kinds of guys? Ooze. Ooze Gust. So maybe I should just keep this then? And then that? Sure. Do I want to switch around what summon everybody has? Sniper probably wouldn't be too useful over here. Sniper back there still probably looks fine. And then it was what, like Oozer over here? That's probably fine. Right? It's probably alright.
Okie dokie.
Huh. So let's see here. So let's see here. If we first... Wait. No. Mario would be able to take EU out, right? I think. Maybe to be extra safe, I should just, like, chill here. Maybe. I'm gonna give it a go. And then you're gonna start approaching. And then Mario's not gonna shoot you because he just didn't feel like it. Yeah. We're just gonna stare at each other over there. Oh, because I didn't activate Hero Sight. Oh. Darn it, man. Crap. I can't get the stomp, can I? I got it! I was surprised about that. Okay. But yeah, now I can't attack. I'm just in like a good Hero Sight position is all. I don't want to press restart battle because I worried that it would go back to like phase 1. That's why I'm a little bit afraid about, you know. Well, maybe we don't do much on turn 1. I'm actually gonna save it for if we get the Hero Sight equivalent from the Dudo. The sniper guy. In which case it'll suddenly become a lot more important, you know? Really, you didn't even move. Alright, I guess you just have Ghost Bullet as well. Alright, well, that was a hero sight well used, though. Okay, nice. Okay. Mario's gonna go down, like, already. Crap, man. I think we're gonna need to start out the way that I often do here. Eventually one day do that. Let's see here. Let's see here. So what's the max range that I can shoot at? This is fair game. So then. Do that. Whoa. Shoot him while he's down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And he's stuck. He's just gonna freeze Rabbid Mario then. Crap! No! It's fine, you guys come to me. But yeah. We'll consider it. Well, you guys come to me to get punched out then. In that case. Not enough, huh? It's fine. Really? Not enough. Huh. Let's do this, and then both of them will take 30% more damage. That's what we'll do. And we navigate back around this way. Worst case scenario, I can dash with Luigi. Looks like it's not going to come to that. Alright. That was our turn 1 over here. Could have been better. Could have definitely been better. Okay, that's fine. Huh, so you definitely need to be behind cover there, huh? Well, get fat shamed, man. So if we do say maybe. But probably gonna want to save my shock dashes for those guys. Dang it, I messed up my spacing just slightly. Now I've completely screwed myself. I can't dash anyone this round. Ugh. That's really not great. That's really not great. Okay. Gonna do that. Oh, still not in range. Still the exact same battle theme as before. Not even anything much cooler. That sucks. Let's see. Not gonna be able to do anywhere near as much damage to this guy as I would hope. Fact. I think I'm basically gonna have to do this from here because my whole dash situation was just slightly misspaced. Oh, and I needed that team jump there too. I'm losing my mind. You know? Would be nice. Okay. How much health do you have, man? It's insane here. Still not dead after all that. If only I could do my dashes. If only. Okay. I'm just gonna have like a shock spark. Okay, nice RNG there. Oh, we won't be able to attack this next turn. Or maybe it's just that we're being protected from super effects by the thingamabobs. Dark Matter Phase 2 is a really awesome team, that's for sure. Oh, crap. Give Mario a team barrier charge. Like that. Oh, come on! I messed up my spacing again? Well. Let's kablooey. I'm gonna do this. Like that. And then, what am I going to do from here? What am I going to do? I'm gonna do something like this, I think. Huh. Maybe just put Rabbid Rosalina here? Maybe? Because Mario's the more important one to have in a slightly safer position. He's also the one with the team barrier charge. And I'm out of a team jumping range. Wow! Okay. Crap, so I can't even put Mario behind that thingamabob anyway. Well, crap, man. Really? I can't even for sure kill you? I have to do this. I still can't even attack Cursa. I can use it every turn, so I may as well. If I had known for sure that Fire Dude was gonna move and then shoot, then I would have done that, but... Just in case Cursa feels like attacking you instead of... Well, no, you only get one attack. And there's a team barrier charge, so it doesn't matter. I just wasted that. Whoops. Okay. Okay, it's manageable for now. Okay, well, some damage. Okay, you resist that. But you don't get a big smackaroo from there. Have I ever seen you attack anyone? Even? Has it ever even happened? Okay, why don't you attack that dudo? Over here, I should be able to... You have so much health. It's insane. But you're not the kind of judo that retaliates, so... This is fine here. Let's put down the Oozer, how about? Is what we do. He's just gonna go there, okay. I mean, I can go here or something, though, right? Nope. I can't go there. So much health. So I can do that for now. And then say something like this. Okay, and I gotta remove Rapid Mario out of there. It's kind of what I gotta do. Alright, well, not the best of situations over here. Not exactly the best. That's not great. I couldn't even deal with that one guy on the one turn. Now I have a second one to deal with. I mean, they'll be easier to deal with once I have the fire thingamabob charged up for, gosh dang it, for Luigi again. I still have not done a single attack towards Cursa, though. I'm in such a weird position here. Such a tricky situation. Ugh, speaking of tricky situations. Are you kidding me right now? Can I team jump off of this guy? Oh, sure can't. Ah, crap. I was just basically just stuck back here then, huh? Unless I want to, you know, team jump one of my other allies over and have them be you know, have them get set up there. Oh, man. I feel like I should just maybe start trying to survive as best I can while attacking those wand thingamabobs. Is maybe what I should start doing. I really want to get those electric dashes in with Edge here. Let's see here. Let's get you out of your position. Get you to run around. Oh, you had a shield thingamabob. Alright, well that will have destroyed that. Now we do that and you're gonna run somewhere else. Get into a worse position. Nice. It's a lot better for me, actually. I can't use my attack this time. I doubt my movement is gonna get me all the way over to Bowser, but we'll see here. Oh, but you still have the thing. Still have a charge of the thingamabob.
No good.
Yeah, if only I could use the sword as well. One more and I might actually be able to get over to Bowser. So, I should not have even used Edge's dash there. I should use a weaker dash like Rabbid Peach's, like this. Take out the shield. And then go ahead and do the harder hitting dash like that. And then we can actually get over here. Like this. Okay. Okay. Wow, he can actually make it all the way over here. I'm very surprised about that. Well. Bluey. Okay. Oh, yeah. You're gonna resist fire, right? Wrong one. Just resist splash. Fire's, like, just fine, I guess. Which means that I can just say... Really? Doesn't just blow up immediately? If I throw it right on like that, then they do. And then there's that water guy taken out. Darn. It's not gonna mess with my movement too much, is it? Okay, cool. I'm not gonna throw it right on top of you. Actually, maybe I will, so that your position changes. Maybe I will, actually. That could actually work to my advantage, potentially. And it did. It actually did. Huh. Okay. Shields are still active, so even if you hit me, you're not going to take that much damage, and you can heal in a hot second anyway. Okay, well, we still haven't hit the wand things a single time. Alright, cool. Things are a lot safe. It might not matter. It might not even matter. I might just have to commit to the thing. What I might have to do.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. So do that. Uh-oh. Oh, he's actually gonna get all the way over. No, wait, no, he won't. Huh. This is gonna freeze them in place, and then they won't be able to do a whole lot of things. So I won't even have to reset that Anui. Because you guys are gonna be stuck there.
Not bad.
Okay. So, how about get what damage we can here? Like this. Really? I still can't? I'd freaking destroy the cover, though. Didn't I? Fine, Mario's gonna use both his shots on that one dudo there, I think. That one guy might go for him. But one hit is okay. Because of that. Okay. And there goes Mario's full cover. That's great news, isn't it? I basically have to do both here. Not worth it. Not worth it right there. Okay, that's fine. That is okay. It's not the end of the world, we can revive him. Because that's the side that I had the revive thingamabob on. The fire dudo was inside you? Really? Well, okay then. Huh. Well, let's first make it so that they'll both take some more damage. Can I get both of them? It's weird, man. Now they both for sure are weakened dashed. I don't think it's really worth using a Steely Stare on you. I'll do it on the other ones here. Okay. There we go. But now I've used both those dashes. Is the unfortunate case here. So I'll just, you know, Steely Stare them on their turns. No big deal. It's no big deal there. Attack this guy for now. More of a threat from afar. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to that, so I'm going to have to chill here, I think. But wait. I'm safe here, right? I hope. Well. Guess Rabbid Mario's going to be the one to attack this thing for now. Will be the case. We're not even gonna be in this, like, 3 more turns, right? We'll have it charged up all the way before then. So let's just set that up and then do this. Because that's massive damage there. Yeah, look at that. And then Rabbid Luigi's just gonna try his best to get back some of his health here. Just in case of the worst case scenario. But if he starts going that way, maybe he'll get distracted with Luigi. Nope, not quite. What's with the 0 again? What's with the 0? Like, I don't know if the game is bugging out or what is going on, but I mean, I'll take the 0, I guess. Oh, I got that guy because he was moving with the gust. Alright, well, he's taken out at least. Nice. There's that portal there that's gonna cause me some issues. Isn't it? Wow. Top 10 lies. Just so I can barely go around that corner and then still jump edge over. Yep. Nice. Just do this. We're gonna be a little bit in the open for these new guys that appear. Nice. Positioning worked out like perfectly there. Okay. And then, yeah, shields aren't quite at the ready right now. Oh. I need to do that, right? Should I do more damage with ooze? No, I'm just gonna do it, script. I'm just gonna do it. So attack that. Like that. For blammo. Oh, I just took out Edge's cover. Oh, crud. Well, I won't go too far like this, right? I'll just bounce back. Alright, another big target. So Edge is really good at hitting that. I probably could have just power charged here and won. Didn't think that I'd be able to get so close. Yeah, I probably could have won with power charge. Whatever. Sucks to suck. That's understandable there. Hope you have a good rest of the night there, Mythic, and take care. Yeah, I can heal on the next turn. Actually, it might not come to that. But we're about to win when we get that to 100% anyway, right? Okay. Wow. Okay. Wow, then. I can't do anything. It's just my entire status from last turn. Well, crud. But we can just do that, right? 99? What do you mean 99? So do this, right? This is the play here. Maybe do it from here so that worst case scenario I can stop that guy afterwards. Just in case this doesn't work. So do that. And then, okay. So then what happens? Do we win? 10,000. He didn't take any He didn't take any damage. Or she, whatever. Her health is exactly the same. I might actually rather save a Nui for a time that it's even more needed than now. Than super weak guy over here. Did the game bug out? Cursa has like 9,000 health. Apparently took 10,000 damage, but nothing happened. Nothing even happened. No, it didn't seem like shielding it. I'm so confused right now. I think I might just need to start committing. I mean, Rabbid Mario can attack and then skedaddle away. I mean, wait, Curse is on fire, so maybe I am making progress? But, you know, Rabbid Peach went down and she was my biggest support over there. Once she goes down, like, this entire network starts falling apart. Oh, I can't even... Really? What?
Yeah.
Really? Alright, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's really sketchy on that one side. If Rabbid Peach is down. Oh, man. This is, really not so great. Alright, you're not gonna be able to get anyone. Never mind. Will that melt me? At least I'll do that. Okay. Crap, man. Okay, they don't resist shock. I'll just do this. I'll keep on attacking the Curse of Thingamabob. Well, I'll get what damage I can on you here for now. That's what I'll do. Isn't quite gonna be as much damage as I would kind of hope. But yeah, Edge can do big damage to that because of hitting it multiple times. So come on. Please. We can do this to cause a little bit of mayhem over here. Hopefully get them out of town. Hopefully. Alright, nice. You're out of here. Where are you going? That actually worked out really well. That worked out really well there. Okay. So then it's still fair game to just be here, right? I was just not doing a massive ton of damage to that. Quite. Oh, that's gonna get all of them, though. Darn. Darn, man. I kind of figured that might happen, but, don't go anywhere with the gust, then. So now is the time to do this. Yep. Last time in this battle, we're gonna be able to do this. Well, only time with this phase. And then we'll just, you know, do what we can here. Just gonna commit, I think. Okay. So then maybe boost my damage like this. Just commit to the Thingamabob. Like that. Okay. Please tell me that this is it. It's 100%. Can I just overcharge it? I wouldn't be able to take out you right now, so there's no point. Otherwise, I would. I think I basically just have to pass the turn and see what happens. Ow! Come on. It's 100%! Wait, huh? Is it bugged out? Do I just have to defeat all the enemies from here? Like, I'm so unclear on what the game expects from me right now. I'm so confused. I don't know if I'm doing things right, if my game is bugged out. Yeah, well, I can't target it anymore. I've been trying to target it, but I can't target it anymore, so I would imagine that it's properly at 100%. Well. Yeah. Don't try this at home, kids, did he just say? It's gonna resist it, but you know. This is the last guy that I could potentially use that Steely Stare charge on anyway, so what else am I gonna do? You know. Like, I don't think that I can hit the thing over there. Like, this is my only target. This is the only Dudo that I can target here, is this guy. So I'm very confused. Really very confused here. No, there's more enemies still coming. It's at 100%, but nothing's happening. Oh, now I can target it. I couldn't target it with the other ones for some reason. Can I be safe like here? I wouldn't be safe from Cursa though, and I'm gonna need to be safe here. Alright, our health is low. Things are looking a little bit sketchy. I mean, I should probably be using items. That's what I should probably be doing, right? Like, come on. Oh, okay, maybe it really was just 99.99999. 10,000. Once again, nothing happened. But your other wing is on fire. So... what the heck? I really wish Rabbid Peach hadn't went down. Alright, well. I don't know why their order's all weird. Sure, I'll just do that, I guess. Yeah, just hope I don't die, I guess. You can't get Bowser from there, though, right? But you could. You chose not to, I think. Because, yeah, if there's any time to be starting to use a whole bunch of my items, it's now. Right. I can put Mario behind the full cover and he'll be safe. Just in case, do this. And save the full team barrier for next turn when everyone comes out of the Inui thingamabob. You know? Well, I may as well do, right? Alright, there goes that cover anyway. So do that. Do that. Like that. Sure, this for now, it's not that big a deal. We can get back up again if we really need to with Peach's thingamabob. So it's not the end of the world over here. So yeah, I'll just do that. Okay. Okay. So that's fine. So now I can target the thing again, right? Now I can target the thing again. And the farthest place that I could target the thing from was like here, right? Yeah. It was that. So pew. Like that. And yeah, that's big. Okay, I can go back to targeting the thing again. Rabbid Mario is gonna be in a not so great position, but... wait, no, I can reposition him because of his thingamabob anyway. That's fine. So it's fine for me to just, like, slap him, say, here or something like that. Just in case. Just in case here. Figured it might be something like that. So I'm just gonna bring someone else that can deal with it instead. Because, yeah, Rabbid Luigi's range is pretty measly. Sure, I'll do this over here. Because, yeah, if there's any time to be using it, it's definitely this battle. You know? In fact, I should probably even use the better ones, but, oh, that was weird. Alright, yeah, you're gonna take aggro. That's my plan here. You're gonna be the one to take aggro. So both the wings are on fire, so the next one should be, like, the last one, right? Oh, well, friendly fire there. Of course. Because I'll get my movement range to go back again by dashing through anyway. So let's do a whole bunch of dashes first and foremost. And then I'll gust them around, I think. Alright. Peach is in a not the best position for me right now. Alright, well, we're doing this. Like that. Oh yeah, and you have your shield up. You're out of bounds at least. Wish I could be here. I can still do this, though. So I think I will. Like that. And Bowser's just gonna try to keep these guys at bay and heal, I think. This is what he's gonna try and do. That's my plan here. Alright. Wow, not even gonna detonate there. Oh, that one will. Kinda hoping you would pass flame onto the other guy. But alas, as long as the electric guy doesn't attack first. Restores 70% of your health points. Yes, that's what 70% looks like. I agree. The icons are mixed up. The regular mushroom is whatever that thing is. Super mushroom bag is the chest. The chest is the regular mushroom. Like, I know it's a Ubisoft game, but even so, you know, it has a lot more glitches than I expected. It's a way glitchier game than the original one. Alright, now it's corrected. Now it's set to the right things. Sure, I'll do this here. Yeah, can't do much else. Like, I guess it is a Ubisoft game, but I mean, come on. But, you know. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna be able to take you guys out, just... Wow. Are you not even doing the gust thing anymore? So now is definitely the turn that we gotta do this. Because we're in a bit of a weird position here otherwise. You know. Do that. And then kablooey the thing. Like that. I'm not really going to be able to a newbie dash anyone. Unless I go over here and I say, do this. And we just choose to not deal with you. And then do that. Come on, please tell me. Please tell me the battle's over.
Let's do this.
Okay, I think I won, right? Oh my goodness. I think that final boss fight was really bugged. I made me so confused about what the endpoint was gonna be. Here it comes, phase 4. Please no. That was, I love that animation of playing with the guns. I was silent for all the other ones, like, hey, this is cool. But the way that he pulled it out, it looked like he was hiding it, like, deep in his pants there. So good. Battle cleared. Oh my goodness. So much XP that's not going anywhere. So is 30 really the cap? Well, Ursa. Play again, as if. Nope. Why'd I just collect like 1 coin while it was loading there? we're at Peach's castle.
Hey.
Look at Bowser. Mario, you and your friends saved the galaxy, and in doing so, saved me as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We didn't save the sparks, Rosalina. We tried. We tried so hard.
And now we're getting the Peach's Castle theme from Kingdom Battle, it sounds like. Dearest Beepo, energy such as that which gives life to the sparks cannot be destroyed, only altered. They're all A-okay. And they're all colorful again.
Woohoo!
The sparks thank you for putting yourself in harm's way to save me. As do I.
Ha!
I went looking for my family once, the same way you search for those with whom you belong.
Hey!
You are welcome to remain with me and the sparks for as long as you would like. Even forever.
I
I do want that.
mean,
I mean, like, I did, but it turns out I have a family of my own already.
they're weird.
And they annoy me sometimes, but I love them.
Go!
Did they just use, like, whatever, you know, Rosalina voice clips they had? I guess they weren't able to do, like, any new lines for this, this thing or all, but Ubisoft just said to Nintendo, yeah, send us all the Rosalina voice lines so you have and we'll make do. So, well, it's like, yeah, go be with your new friendo's new family then. You just have the Rosalina, go! Like, yeah, that's definitely super fitting there. And as for you, Steward of Sparks,
Well,
I figure with Cursa gone, my old pals will find themselves a new profession. Guess I'll stick with these tenderfoots for now, see if I can't keep air in their lungs.
all right.
Alright! Yeah, they... Nintendo just sent Ubisoft all the Rosalina voice lines they had, or at least some of the most generic ones, because there's gotta be more fitting ones than this that they would have had in something like Mario Galaxy, right? There was Rosalina voice lines in Mario Galaxy, right? Some sounds, or was it just silent? Is it really just like these Mario Party-esque / Mario Kart-esque sound effects that they have, and that's it? That they sent to Ubisoft to make do with? Wow. That's so not fitting. Farewell, Mario. Your kindness, courage, and loyalty are the foundation of many a friendship, including ours.
All right.
They're so not fitting! And Bowser, aren't you happy to learn any problem can be solved when we work together? And then the music suddenly cuts, it doesn't even fade out. But is that it? That was Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. What an adventure that was. Yeah, I guess so, since it's just for like the one scene, I suppose. That definitely wasn't a perfect game. I definitely have my gripes with it, as, you know, was evident with the final boss. But generally, I liked that game. That was a good game, and I think I actually liked it more than Kingdom Battle. That was a pretty darn cool game. I guess we'll go through the various aspects as I do like my little review thingamabob here. So, first of all, story. I kind of, you know, like how it did play off of the first game, where, you know, it was like the plot of the first game does matter. It's not just like a random next game set in, you know, the same universe, essentially. It's like, oh, you know, here's the characters that you know, and here's like the established lore of the first game. So it's like Rabbid Rosalina came to be during the washing machine incident as well, but you just didn't see her. Or, you know, the whole idea about the Megabug coming back and becoming Cursa, you know, is a little bit corny, but, you know, it did play its role of being like, hey, the events of the first game matter. You know, this really is a sequel. It's not just, you know, the next title. You know, like something like Mario Kart or Mario Party would be, as, you know, as I just brought those up. This is just the first example that came to mind, where it's like, you don't need any prior knowledge. And you don't need any prior knowledge for this, but, you know, having prior knowledge, it helps out there. So, I did like how the plot also factored in how they were like, alright, we did the Mushroom Kingdom and all these areas around it. What's the next step we can do? Why don't we go to space and have, like, cool different planets that you can explore, and they each have, like, their own little lore and wardens and stuff like that, and have really cool places to explore. And then we can also play in Mario Galaxy things. Let's combine the Rabbids and Lumas into the Sparks and have a plot with Rosalina and stuff like that. So, you know, the story itself wasn't like a you know, out of this world kind of story that's gonna be, you know, that I'm gonna be remembering for a long time to come. It's not gonna be like a Xenoblade kind of level plot, but, you know, it was enjoyable for what it is, and the ideas that it used for its foundation made for an interesting world to go about exploring. And that's all that you can really go for in a Mario game. Like, Mario games usually aren't going to have all that crazy of stories, usually. There's some exceptions. So, you know, they had to have, like, a pretty simple plot line where it's like, yeah, just go defeat the big bad. So, the only thing that they could really get creative with is, like, the world and their ideas that they were putting into it. And I like what they did. It was really cool. That was really awesome there. Next up, the music. We're hearing some of the music right now. The music, much better than Kingdom Battle. Like, Kingdom Battle was already a really good OST, having a legendary composer like Grant Kirkhope that, you know, is perfect for, like, a zany, wacky, kind of fun soundtrack that works really well for something like Mario plus Rabbids. But now, having brought in Grant Kirkhope once again, along with Yoko Shimomura, who has done things like, not Kingdom Battle, Kingdom Hearts, sorry, previous Mario RPGs, and, you know, just, like, a bazillion other things. And Gareth Coker, I believe, is the third composer, who is responsible for games like the Ori games, which have, like, an absolute legendary soundtrack. And I was stunned at that announcement, like, what the heck? Is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope trying to win Soundtrack of the Year? And it didn't even, like, it got RPG of the Year nomination, but it didn't get Soundtrack of the Year nomination for the Game Award, so I was like, what the heck? But the, oh, I didn't get that one Spark. There's still other Sparks I can go around and collect and stuff. And now it's starting to repeat some. The soundtrack was absolutely legendary. Like, it wasn't perfect. Like, I have my complaints with the final boss theme. Like, phase 1 was just, like, generic. Here's mostly silence, and sometimes it would come in with, like, a big orchestra and be, like, ominous foreboding, and here's a big foe that you're facing and stuff like that. I'm gonna turn down the thingamabob a little bit so it's a little bit easier to hear me, is what I'm gonna do there. Something like that. And then phase 2 and phase 3, while it did get a little bit better, you know, it still was not a standout final boss theme. I honestly would have preferred some of the regular battle themes, or like the mid-boss battle themes, to have been like a final boss theme. Because some of them were more final boss-esque. That was more of just like, here's a big enemy that's like foreboding and evil and stuff. It's kind of like phase 1 Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild, for example, where it's like, it's just like, here's a big evil doodle for you to take down, is all the music really says. So that was my one complaint with the soundtrack. But the rest of the soundtrack was absolutely legendary. It was amazing. And it's really cool on Ubisoft's, unlike Nintendo, Ubisoft actually has an official, like, music channel over on YouTube and has uploaded the full soundtrack of this game. And what's really cool with each of the themes that they post is they also include the name of which of the 3 composers is responsible for that theme. So you can see which ones were done by Yoko Shimomura, you can see which ones were done by Grant Kirkhope, and you can see which ones were done by Gareth Coker. So, by having the few different composers here, it did mean that you didn't have, like, one overall, like, theme and direction for the overall soundtrack, because you had, like, a bunch of different creative styles. But I really liked it! I thought it was amazing. Like, that's playing right now is one of my favorite battle themes. This is the theme that played when we were facing off against Bedrock. I think it's called Hitting the Bedrock or Breaking Bedrock, something like that. It was the one where we recruited Bowser. So I guess you could also call this Bowser's theme. And there's so many themes like this that exist only for one battle, and that's it. Because each of the key story battles, where you would get, like, a Darkness Energy Crystal, would typically have, like, their own standalone theme that's made just for that battle. So I kind of wish that I would have been able to hear those themes, like, more often. But the fact that they went so ham, where, you know, most games would probably just have, like, a generic mid-boss theme, or a generic end-of-this-world kind of boss theme, where, you know, they'll play that for the final boss of each of the worlds, and then have, like, a different final boss theme. But pretty much every mid-boss and every planet final boss had its own unique theme for just that battle. Like, listen to this. I'm gonna turn it up. I love this bit. So, like I said, this is in a way the closest thing to Bowser's theme, and it's so good. It's so amazing. Yeah, it's really awesome when the game companies officially post the music as well. Something that Nintendo could really learn from. So, I love this theme. This is one of my favorite battle themes in the whole game. I love this one. I don't know if this game's gonna be, like, popular enough to get, like, remixes of it made. Like, something like that. I know a lot of talented Pokemon remixers, but, you know, Pokemon's super popular. I don't know if Mario plus Rabbids would be popular enough to get remixes. I'd love to hear remixes of this game. That would really, you know, make my day, hearing that. So yeah, the overall soundtrack though, absolutely out of this world. Like, this is probably my favorite soundtrack this year. And that's saying something. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 released this year as well. But I honestly think I might put the, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is probably better for, like, the overall themes of its music, having, like, consistent leitmotifs that they would use throughout the story that yields, like, emotional impacts and stuff like that. But in terms of, you know, battle themes and stuff, and just sheer epicness, I mean, Xenoblade 3 is really close. Like, I think it's probably my least favorite of the Xenoblade soundtracks, but it's still really up there. It's still a really standout soundtrack. But I might put this soundtrack above it. Like, unless you count the fact that the final boss theme in this game kind of sucks. If that's going to be the deciding factor, then maybe I would say that maybe overall Xenoblade 3 is the better one there. But either way, it's really close. Hearing epic themes like this that's playing right now is like, man, I love that. I want more of this. Like, this was a wonderful treat of a soundtrack. You know. Anyway, next up, visuals and aesthetics and stuff. The visuals of this game, for the most part, looked really good. I love the variation between, like, the different planets, the different worlds. They already had a lot of variation in Kingdom Battle, but now they were able to get, like, even more creative, being like, oh yeah, these are all completely different planets with, you know, completely different ecosystems. Let's go crazy here. So, you know, the first world was a pretty good starter area, like the islandy kind of thing where Bob. The second world being, like, immediately into a frosty kind of area, and it's all snowy and stuff, and it was really beautiful and stuff. The third world was the autumny kind of place, which was really charming, and I love autumny areas in video games, with all the trees and with the different colors and stuff. It's really charming, and I really like how they wound up doing that. I kind of wish that maybe they had done the autumny one as, like, the second one, and then the cold one, and then the flower one, because doing, like, the flower-based one right after the autumn one, it felt a little bit too similar to me, so I just wish that maybe they were switched around or something like that. But I did really like the flower one as well. That was pretty cool and charming, and, you know, the way that they handled the ecosystems, like, with that sparkling water volcano thingamabob. I thought that that was kind of cool. And then the one that we did earlier this stream of the mechanical kind of planet. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked it more than I thought I would there. I thought it was gonna be like a pretty barren wasteland and stuff, but no, there was still a lot of charming stuff going on there, and there was like mechanical wildlife and stuff. And that's something else that I should mention. It's just like the wildlife that weren't even enemies existing around the areas. They were really cute and charming. Like, was it the autumn place or was it the flower? I think it was the autumn place where there was that cute fox, for example, where it's like, oh, that's so cute. We're seeing the little cute mechanical life in the final world there. It's like, oh, that's super cool. It was really charming. And even just, you know, the general little tidbits and fun things that were scattered around the world for you to discover. It didn't feel like there was as much as Kingdom Battle, because Kingdom Battle was like a very linear kind of experience. Like, you go from level to level and follow these preset paths, and, you know, fun things to discover are just laid out all over the place. So maybe I just didn't notice as much with this game, because, you know, it's more open-ended, and, you know, here's like this massive area that you can explore, so maybe I didn't find as much, but it felt like there was still several of them. What do you mean online services? The game doesn't have online. Is this just this must mean like their websites or just, you know, updates for the game or something like that? I don't know exactly. But yeah, I felt like there was a decent few things to discover around, and I really like the side quest distribution and stuff as well. That doesn't quite go into, like, you know, visuals and stuff. But the visuals weren't perfect. You know, there was a lot of glitchiness where it seemed like if most of the thing in question was off the screen, it would unload it, even if there was still a significant chunk of it on the screen. Not always, not for everything, but there was a lot of entities where that was the case. Even in the final dungeon, in the middle of a cutscene, there was like the left side of the screen that had like this rock formation that was glitching out of existence, sometimes glitching back in, and it was like, really? In the middle of a cutscene, there's really going to be that much of a hiccup. Or for another cutscene hiccup, one that really stood out to me and really took me out of the moment was when we're confronting Midnight in World 2. And there was like, it zoomed out from all the characters there, all the heroes except for Edge. And and the camera's close down to the ground, and then you just see close to the camera Edge's boot coming down. And part of Edge's foot was like clipping out of her boot when that's what the camera is zoomed into. It's like, did they really not watch this cutscene and test, like, and see that and be like, maybe we should fix the fact that her foot is clipping out of her boot slightly when the camera is zoomed in on that thing as, like, the key detail of the frame? No? Didn't think about doing that? Well, there's that. So, like, generally the overall world, I did like the look of it. It was a charming world, but there were definitely several immersion ruining glitches. You know, it's not, you know, I keep on using Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as the example. It's just too easy of an example. It's not as bad as something like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where it's like, here's a visual glitch like every minute or two, essentially, you know. This was more from time to time, but there were definitely times that, you know, the visual glitches would still break my immersion. Namely, when it's literally in the middle of cutscenes, and it's like, did they really not notice this and fix this? That's insane. Namely, the boot thing, and then the final dungeon area there. Those were really immersion running. The gameplay. The gameplay of this game. I generally really liked it. I thought that it was really cool. I feel like in Sparks of Hope, in Kingdom Battle, sorry, there was very clear, like, alright, these are the really good characters, these ones are not so great, these ones are lacking. Like Rabbid Luigi in the first game, for example. I basically never felt all that motivated to use him. I still use him in the playthrough just to, like, showcase the various characters, but he really was not all that great, for example. And there was, like, a lot of repeat weapon types, for example. So, Mario and Rabbid Peach in the first game used the same weapon, and it was basically the same type as Rabbid Luigi's as well, just with a different look. Luigi had a standalone weapon. Rabbid Mario and Peach shared a weapon of the shotgun type thing. And Yoshi and Rabbid Yoshi shared a weapon type. And then there was also, like, secondary weapons that were shared, like, Rabbid Peach and Luigi shared a secondary weapon, for example. I don't remember all the secondary weapons. I think Yoshi and Rabbid Yoshi shared secondary weapons as well. Don't know why those two were so similar to each other there. When typically the Mario to Rabbid characters had, like, more differences. Fang it! I'm sorry. I've never heard of that instrument before. That's probably not how it's pronounced. I'm so sorry. Acoustic guitar, that's pretty cool. I just saw that, I was like, what? Now we gotta need to look that up. What the heck is that instrument? Anyway, but now everyone had something that was, like, completely unique to them. So, and they all had something that made them, you know, stand out and be unique to them. That really made you think what your team combinations were gonna be going into battle. Like, in the first game, it was a lot easier to just be like, alright, these are, like, my go-tos, these are my strong characters, I can use them in, like, basically every single battle and get through this game. This game really promoted you switching around your team with every single battle. Like, look at the battlefield, use the Tacticam, and figure out which allies you should bring along. And I like that. It made me think a whole lot more. And the weapon variety that was around here was really, really cool. Like, instead of just the most bland, basic weapon ever, Mario now has dual guns and can shoot, like, 2 different targets in the same turn, and that's really cool. Or, you know, have his unique things like the Stomp, like the, you know, shoot from midair, stuff like that. And still using Hero Sight from the last game and buffing it so that he gets a new charge back whenever he manages to kill with it. That was really cool, and I felt a lot better about using Mario in all the pets of the production members. I felt a lot better using Mario this time than I did in the last game. Luigi, once again back to being a sniper. This time with a bow, he was playing Hanzo. I like the new mechanic where it's like, he gets more damage. Whoa, is that text cut off? There was like another line, but they cut it off. Is that another visual glitch? My goodness gracious. Oh, I'll keep talking. I'll keep giving my review in a second.
So, Genie, how do you feel about your first adventure as an honorary hero?
My feelings as such are not relevant.
Is that the,
mission was successful. That is all that matters.
I forget what it's called, but the record player. There's an actual name for it. I forget what it is, but the record player in the top right. Was that from Phantom in the first game?
Genie, I thought you had adapted, learned to engage with emotional experiences.
Relax, Beepo. That was merely a jest. Something set to cause general amusement and laughter.
Which, speaking of, that's another thing. I feel like I laughed more often in the first game. I feel like the first game was a little bit sillier, wackier than this one. And Beepo's voice. I should mention that before I forget. Beepo, wasn't voice acted in the first game, but had, like, high-pitched robotic-y sounds that were being made. But it was, like, super high-pitched of a voice, whereas, coming into this game, the voice of Beepo is very different from what you'd think it would be from Kingdom Battle, since it was, like, very high-pitched sounds that Beepo was making in the first game. Whereas now, it's a little bit more deeper and formal and something like this, as opposed to, like, the high kind of squeaky sounds that are more like that, or something like that. So, it felt kind of strange.
Perhaps my mentoring hasn't been in
I don't mind Beepo's voice, though, so.
I'm proud of you, Genie.
Is what it is. It is what it is, though. But that felt like a little bit jarring at first. Oh! And before I go back into the gameplay, yeah, I love how Mario's basically Star-Lord with his dual guns. I'm gonna mute the game, and as I give the rest of my review, I'm going to, put on OST from this game here. Let's see. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope OST. The voice acting of this game, that's something that I should talk about. It felt pretty jarring when Rosalina didn't have any new voice lines there and had, like, Mario Party, Mario Kart thingamabobs there in times that they really weren't all that fitting. Let's see here. Where is, here it is. Fight Songs from the Flower Planet. I love this one. I mean, I love so many themes from this game. Let's listen to this one for now. That's what we'll do. So many of them that are such a real bop, you know. So let's have that there for now. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit about the voice acting then. I was really surprised when the Rabbids had, like, full-on, you know, lines that, you know, you would read out. They weren't fully voice acted. It was like the Fire Emblem Awakening or Fates kind of thing where they'd say, like, short things. Which was kind of jarring when Genie and Beepo were fully voiced, but the Rabbids and everyone else basically just had, like, partial voice acting. That felt a little bit jarring and, like, a little bit of a disconnect. But, you know, it wasn't too big of a deal. I wasn't sure how I'd feel at first about the Rabbids actually speaking, but it really grew on me. It was really, really charming. It reflected each of their personalities. I liked it a lot more than all of them just constantly going blah all the time, you know. And some of the lines, like, really, really cracked me up. Like, I still think that one of my favorites is when you have Rabbid Mario in the lead, and you open a chest with him, and he gets the treasure, and he's like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Or during the final boss there, we heard him saying, like, don't try this at home, kids. When he's, like, smackarooing some big bad that's about to explode. Like, there was so many good lines in that. It was, or, like, if you start a battle with Rabbid Peach as the lead, sometimes she'd be like, does anyone have a charger? You know, there were a lot of one-off lines there that just, like, really cracked me up. Or another one of my favorites was, sometimes when you attack as Rabbid Rosalina with that, like, rapid-fire weapon, she would sometimes go, There's so many things like that just really put a big grin on my face. You know, like that impression there? That was one of my favorite lines in the game. It might be my favorite line in the game. It's so good. I love that line so much. So, I did end up really liking the voice acting of this game. I kind of wish that was a little bit more present because, again, there's that disconnect when, you know, Genie and Beepo are fully voiced, but no one else. But it still wasn't half bad. The in-battle dialogue, which is where the Rabbids were doing the most voice acting, I really enjoyed. I really liked that. Oh yeah, and also, I guess one thing that I can mention about the story, this kind of will lead into gameplay as we talk about the character's individuality, is I like the additions of Bowser, Rabbid Rosalina, and Edge there. Like, I thought Edge was really cool to have a character that's actually more directly involved in, like, the story that has a past with it already. And how they literally just went over the top, making the most edgy anime possible character Rabbid they could. I loved that. And finding out that her name was Edge, it was so good. Wielding a freaking Buster Sword-like thing. That was cool. I like that. Probably one of my favorite characters here. I think my favorite character might be Rabbid Mario, though, honestly. I love what they did to him. He was already pretty fun in the last game, but now that he has, like, voice lines that give him so much more personality, I liked him a lot more. Anyway, the character's individuality. So, I talked about Mario there. And I also want to say, first of all, I really liked how, in the first game, it was like, you had movement, you had your 2 weapons that you could use, and you had 2 abilities that you could use on each character, and those are just set in stone. Whereas this game changed it, so it's like, you can move, you have 1 weapon, you have 1 ability that's completely unique to that character, and then you can put on 2 sparks of whatever. Like, it's a lot more customizable. You can do a lot more to, like, make the experience your own. And also, you know, be looking at the map, see what the enemy's weaknesses are, and strategize how you're going to put, like, the sparks around here, you know, is the case. Anyway, and the animations that came with everyone's unique ability were pretty cool and, you know, highlighted their personalities. I like that. The most strange one seemed to be, like, the fact that Rabbid Luigi is, like, a dancer guy now. That was a little bit strange, but, you know, everyone else is like, okay, yeah, that's absolutely their personality. I really like that. And, like, Mario's thingamabob was so over the top. Like, here's, like, the crazy spin with the 1 gun, the crazy spin with the 2nd gun, and then crossing them like that as he's getting ready to use Hero Say. It's like, whoa! they turned like super happy, like Super Mario here, into like an actual serious, trying to make him like a badass like character. And he was pretty cool, not gonna lie. I like what they did there. Anyway, Luigi, the bow. I really like the new mechanic of like he gets more damage the farther away it is, and the things that they did for Steely Stare, since, you know, that's his only ability now, as opposed to that and the movement thingamabob, where, you know, Mario's thing was he can get more charges by getting kills, whereas Luigi, his thing was Ghost Bullet, where it's like, he does not care about the obstacles in the way. If someone's moving in his range, he's gonna shoot them even if the bullet goes through walls. That was cool. I liked that. You know, Dancer Rabbid Luigi is weird, but you love it. Yeah, and it means that he actually has, like, more of a personality than just being, like, you know, the kind of awkward one that doesn't quite fit into his clothes and stuff, and, you know, just tries to get, like, the awkwardness of Luigi, you know? So I really liked what they did for Luigi there. And they really played into how he worked in the first game, where it's like he can team jump twice and have, like, really good movement and stuff. They played into that, like, really well with the new, like, jumping range thingamabob and how he could still jump twice and how it can refresh and dash. That was pretty cool. Peach got some serious buffs. So she ended up being the one to keep the shotgun weapon. So in the first game, it was both her and Rabbid Mario that had the shotgun type weapon. They decided to leave her with the shotgun type weapon and give a new weapon to Rabbid Mario. And, you know, it worked well for a battle healer that can, you know, put up the shield. In the first game, how the shield worked, and it's like anyone that's in range of the shield will have like this effect that changes them all together, and they'll have damage reduced when they get hit, and a little bit of damage shared with the fellow teammates that like are chained into the thingamabob. So like it wouldn't completely negate damage, it would just, you know, negate some of it and distribute a little bit of the rest. Now it's like, here's like several charges of being able to take 0 damage, and that's it. You know, and that's it. I don't know if that was the best way to lead that sentence on afterwards. Whatever. And being able to give more charges with things like team jumping or getting a kill, being able to give charges to herself. So if she puts herself in a situation with like a bunch of enemies and she can kill several of them, you know, shooting will now lock in your movement. But it'll give you like several team charges, team barrier charges, and now she's like a lot safer. So I didn't actually use Peach a whole lot throughout this playthrough, like just because I was wanting to focus more on like offensive things than defensive things. But I really, really liked the buffs that they gave to Peach that made her feel way more usable in this game than the previous one. Like that team barrier was actually really, really spicy, but you also had to strategize with it because, you know, when you put it up, it's gonna help you right there, but it's not gonna last into the next turn after that. Alright, we've listened to fight songs from the Flower Planet for the past 7 minutes. Let's listen to another one. Let's listen to another one here. This was another theme that I think only played once or like twice. During the intro of the game, when it's coming in that like here's this evil threat that you're facing off against, it was this theme that played. It might have played once or twice later in the plot, but it was never like a main kind of thing. I'm gonna turn up slightly. That's probably one of my favorite themes in the game. It's so epic. This is a Yoko Shimomura one, is what this is. Alright, next up. Bowser, I guess, is the last Mario character. I like how his default weapon was basically the rocket launcher secondary weapon of Yoshi and Rabbid Yoshi from the first game. Being able to take out cover and, like, get a bit of an area. That was pretty cool, and it really spoke to Bowser's brutal nature. This theme is so good. I love this theme. That was really cool, and it basically gave him for his ability, basically gave him the closest equivalent of the drone in the first game. Where, you know, the drone from Luigi and Rabbid Peach in the first game would just go towards the whoever you targeted, and, you know, try to blow up when they reach there. Or if someone went through its range, it would blow up as they went through. But if you killed that Dudo before the drone reached them, the drone would just sit there doing absolutely nothing until the end of time. Whereas the Mecha Koopas, while being a lot weaker than the drone, since there's like 5 of them that all go down in one hit, there's multiple of them, and they'll just go after whoever the nearest opponent is. So if you take out their original target, they'll just change targets and go somewhere else, instead of basically being like, oh, my target's gone, I guess I'll just be here as a landmine now, and that's my only use, instead of going and pursuing another Dudo. You know, so they were a lot more useful there. The fact that you could pick them up and throw them to other places gave them, like, so much more utility you can use them defensively to, you know, basically eat hits for you, since, you know, you didn't have to worry about them damaging you. Sometimes the fire effect would be passed on to you from an enemy, but, you know, not very often. So you can use them defensively like that, by scattering them around and basically putting them in positions where they would eat hits instead of you. You could get enemies in really bad positions by, you know, putting the Mecha Koopas on their tail, and then they're gonna get hit with the flame effect, and then there goes them hiding behind cover. They're now in a really bad position. Now you can, like, capitalize on that a lot more. The Rabid Mecha Koopas had so much utility. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one of the visual bugs of this game that happened very frequently, was the fact that they would be placed down white, and then, like, despawn, and then get replaced down as the red versions if you had that upgrade in the skill tree. It's like, really? Really? That's an oversight here, too? Oh yeah, speaking of visual oversights, I wish that in the animations, like, everyone had, like, whatever their weapon skin was in the cutscene for activating their ability. Like, you can have, say, steampunk guns on Mario, but the moment you use Hero Sight, he's gonna have, like, normal guns in his hands. And then it switches back to battle, and he has, like, the steampunk guns, for example. Or Bowser's Thingamabob would show the regular Mecha Koopas, and it would spawn the regular Mecha Koopas, and then despawn them to replace them with the spicier Mecha Koopas if you got that upgrade. It's like, really? Really? They couldn't have done that better? Anyway, so that utility was really awesome. They basically gave Bowser the ground pound from, that was Yoshi's Thingamabob in the first game. I thought that was kind of cool. It works pretty well for him. I wish that there was, like, an actual animation of him doing the ground pound instead of just, like, landing, and here's a visual effect around him that shows that there was damage, but otherwise being the same kind of landing. Is what I do wish there. And that's all the Mario characters. On to the Rabbids characters. Rabbid Mario, like, these, and the Rabbids, I can talk about what they did for their personalities as well. I love how they basically turned him into the most stereotypical Italian strongman they can. Like, he's just going around being like, I'm a strong! And just, like, constantly trying to show off, and he's kissing his muscles and stuff like that. He was really charming. I really liked him. And the fact that in cutscenes, there were several cutscenes where he just summoned, like, an inflatable flamingo that would help him float around. Like, it happened in one of the trailers, then it happened, like, 3 or so times throughout the plot of this game. He just continued to have, like, a pocket dimension flamingo that he could summon, and I love that about him. It was great. Alright, let's go on to the next theme to listen to during this review here. Here's Hitting Bedrock, which again is like the closest thing to a Bowser's theme since it plays while facing Bedrock. So either Bedrock's theme or Bowser's theme. Interpret it either way. Okay, it is playing. It's just coming in quiet initially. And his Thingamabob, they changed movement in this game, where before in the first game, it was like, you can move, use an attack, and use an ability in any order. Whereas with how they completely changed how movement works in this game, they were like, alright, when you attack, it locks in your position, and means that you also have to, like, strategize differently than in the first game. But Rabbid Mario's Thingamabob, he is now the close-range brawler with those fist weapons, like the gauntlets, and, like, he hits so hard. He was really strong. And it has more range than you'd think the gauntlets would have. It could get a decent arc around him. It was actually really quite cool. But, you know, the drawback is that... I'm going to turn that down slightly. The drawback is that he'd have to basically put himself into the enemy fray and, you know, be really vulnerable. But, you know, you can capitalize on that using the counter, or if you play in Peach's shield ability along with the counter and get, like, some cool combinations going. And I also like how the game promoted creativity like that. But eventually getting the ability to move after punching is like, he could go up to some nerd, punch him out, and then run back to cover, and it's like, wow, he's really, really strong. Like, they really nerfed his dash. He doesn't have, like, as crazy of an explodey dash anymore. Like, he still has the slight shockwave, but it's not all that crazy. But, you know, his regular weapon and his, you know, main utility and stuff, I'd say that he really got buffed, and I really, really liked playing with Rabbid Mario in this game. He was such a fun character to use, especially when you combined it with the Glitter Spark, which is so dang OP on him, because it had such a wide range. In the first game, one of Rabbid Mario's abilities was to pull enemies towards him, but as a shotgun type weapon, it's like, it's going to hit one tile in front of him, and then it's going to branch out more and more, and do, like, less damage the further out it is. But if he was using his, like, come in towards me ability in the first game, since it was tile-based, and since, you know, your position is probably locked in at that point, and if not, then you have to move to some other point where you now lock in your position because your movement is done. then even if you have everyone around you, you might only be able to target one or like two enemies, something like that, and have one right beside you that you just have to look at right beside you that you can't hit, and it's so annoying, and it's like, what the heck? And they might not even come all the way towards you. They would move several tiles towards you, but they might not come all the way unless they were already pretty close. Whereas Glitter in this game was just like, yeah, we're probably gonna come all the way right next to you. And if not, we're sure gonna try for a while to come, like, right next to you. It was so strong, and then from there, you can, like, position yourself however you want until you get, like, everyone in the arc. And then you just, like, annihilate them, and it was like, so satisfying there. It's so dang good. Next up, Rabbid Luigi. Well, I guess I can also mention Rabbid Mario's counter. I did like that was a thing there, and everyone's abilities are unique. I didn't use the counter a whole lot because I typically didn't want to be receiving damage. I would typically just use it when it's like, oh, someone's gonna have to receive damage here anyway, so it may as well be Rabbid Mario. And sometimes I would try to put on that regeneration spark and play into that, or like play in Peach's shield, but I didn't use it too often there. But, you know, there are definitely some instances that it could be handy there. Okay, Rabbid Luigi. In the first game, he had, like, the most bland and basic weapon. Like, it didn't look like the basic weapon that Mario and Rabbid Peach had in the first game, but it basically worked the same. It just looked like a weird yo-yo thing. And it was just like, yeah, he was just like a single shot, straight line, medium range, hit the enemy, super bland and basic. Whereas they were like, alright, let's give him something spicier in this game. And they gave him the Frisbee that can hit multiple targets, like I think up to 7, something like that. And, while it didn't have a lot of range, like, for its first target, it could from there chain multiple targets as it goes, like, across the map. It did feel a little bit sucky sometimes. It's abysmal, like, starting range, and I do wish that the initial range was a little bit better, because he had to be, like, pretty close to the enemies to get, like, that initial hit, unfortunately. Maybe that's just, like, the intended trade-off or something like that. But the ability to hit multiple targets and basically sweep through an area was really, really cool. But, you know, it could be interrupted by changes in elevation, like earlier this stream when I was doing that Dark Messiah's side quest, that's like, it can hit 2, but then when it tries to go down and hit the 3rd, it's not quite going to be able to make that arc. But, you know, again, that's just like a drawback of it. What I do wish was different about Rabbid Luigi's weapon is that you could choose which targets get chained into it. Like with Mario's weapon, for example, you can select the first target, and then you can select the second target for the 2 ones that you want to shoot. I wish that they had done something like that for Rabbid Luigi's weapon, where it's like, select the first target that you're gonna hit, and then where's the Frisbee gonna chain from there? And like, here's the range that it can chain to from there. And from this position, what are you gonna try to chain to from there? From that position, what are you gonna try to chain to from there? Because a lot of the time it felt very out of your hands what it was going to. Like, sometimes the chain would include some random explodey barrel that doesn't even have any enemies near it. And it's like, I don't want to blow up that explodey barrel right now. There's nobody near it. I won't get that much use out of it. Like, or any use out of it. So I really like to leave that explodey barrel be, so that, you know, I can save it for later when it's more important. But the game is just gonna go ahead and, like, blow it up anyway, is the thing, because it's just automatically chooses it. So you can choose the first target. You can choose the first target in the chain. But then from there, you know, the AI is just gonna pick what it chains to around from there. So I do wish that you could choose what it chained to for each respective target. Because sometimes you might be able to find, like, a more crazy ricochet route, and there are sometimes situations where you might not want to target something like one of those exploding barrels. So I do wish that that was something that you could do. But anyway, his weaken effect, it wasn't that great in the last game. It wasn't super duper standout in this one either, because, you know, why not just put someone else in that slot that can use an ability that helps with offensive purposes? Because typically, you're not going to want to be receiving damage. You're typically going to want to be in safe situations where you're behind full cover, or at least taking the gamble with half cover. And ideally not taking damage if you're playing your cards well. So Rabbid Luigi having ability that's like, oh, these enemies do less weapon damage. It's like, okay, I'm only ever going to want to do that if I put myself in such a bad situation that I am going to be eating a decent bit of weapon damage. And even in that case, I'd rather have someone in this slot that can deal with, like, an emergency situation like that a bit better. Like Peach with her shields, or Rabbid Rosalina with her Anui to just, like, freeze all the enemies around. Not just reduce some of the damage that they deal, I'd rather reduce all the damage if I can. You know? So, I wasn't too big on the weekend in the last game, wasn't too big on it in this game. But I did like the buff that they gave to it, with the fact that they will now also receive 30% more damage. So it did have a little bit of offensive use as well. So I did like that they buffed that, and the fact that Rabbid Luigi probably got, like, the most buffs at all from the last game to this game. Considering he went from, like, in my opinion, probably the worst character in Kingdom Battle, to actually having, while he wasn't, like, super duper standout amazing in this game, he still had situations where it's like, this is a good map for Rabbid Luigi. This, I can definitely use him here to some advantage, and I used him a lot more in this playthrough, because it was like, yeah, he has some tools that I can make effective use of here, you know? Is definitely the case. So I really like what they did to him there. Rabid Peach, in the first game, her weapon was just like the bland, basic, single-shot, medium-range kind of thing that Mario had. Whereas in this game, it was the 3 rockets that get fired up, and then are like homing missiles that go down towards the enemies. So it just wouldn't care about half cover. It had, you know, pretty good range. You know, it was more than medium kind of range. It was pretty darn good there. And even if they had full cover, it was like the first 2 rockets would destroy the full cover, and then the last rocket would still hit them. So, while she never hit, like, super duper hard, per se, there were definitely characters in the game capable of dealing a lot more damage than her. She could always, you know, basically squeak in some near guaranteed hits, and it was really cool to see. And it also put the enemies in a little bit more vulnerable of a position by reducing their full cover to half cover, it comes down to it. Or even putting on, like, an offensive super effect like Gust or something like that, and then hitting them behind their cover, and now they're gusted away from their cover. And it's like, huh, that's pretty cool. Though I did shy away from using offensive options on her later on to, like, more supportive sparks. But I did like the options that her weapon afforded. And of course, having, like, the heal from the first game, and feeling even better than before. Like, it really felt like Rabid Peach, in terms of longevity, is probably one of, if not the best character that you can bring, to the point that some maps I was purposefully not bringing her, being like, I want more of a challenge here. Like, not be able to heal as much, or if I do need a heal, I need to spend into my consumable items and use an action point on that one duo. Whereas Rabid Peach is just like, yeah, she can just, like, heal the entire party, like, bailing you out party-wide for one action point on her, as opposed to every single other person using one of their action points to use a consumable healing item, you know? So, the fact that she was the only healer in the game felt, you know, a little bit busted at times using her. I'm gonna play a different theme here. That's what I'm going to do. Let's see here. If we go over to, I believe this is the first battle theme of the snowy area that got pretty epic at times. I believe. This is the one that got epic, right? Or is this, like, the more casual one? Okay, I don't think this is the one that gets epic. It's the other one that gets more epic, is the case. Let's see here. If it's in here. It's uphill battle, right? Is what it is. Oh yeah, this is the more epic snowy one. This one was pretty cool. I'm gonna turn up a smidge. I don't want to get too loud here. But a smidge. Okay, down a tiny smidge. Just because I want my voice to be clearly louder while I'm doing my review thingamabob here. But still definitely something that you can hear. I'm trying to, like, pixel perfect select where it should be. Alright, I'll just adjust it in OBS here. Like that. Anyway. So, I kind of wish that there was, like, another method of healing in the game that wasn't just using, like, vampire sparks. Because, yeah, I felt like if you want longevity and you want it to last a long time in a map, bring Rabid Peach, because she's, like, your only reliable method of heat there, you know, was the case. Next up, Rabid Rosalina. It was really cool to have a character that was centered around just putting enemies in bad positions, like being a support role, but, like, an offensive support role, by, like, putting enemies in bad positions, and also, you know, the defensive capabilities that came with being able to freeze targets completely, as opposed to something like Rabid Luigi's thingamabob, where it's like, oh, they'll still hit you, they'll just do less damage now. Rabid Rosalina is like, yeah, they're just gonna be stopped entirely for, like, 2 turns. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool. I quite liked that there. Or the fact that she basically has the weapon from, you know, Rabid Yoshi / Yoshi in the first game. But in the first game, whenever the rapid fire thing was hitting cover, it's just like, yeah, all the shots are going to go into the cover, and then the cover will take some damage after, like, the last shot, and not a massive ton of damage. Whereas in this game, it's like every single shot is actively damaging the cover and can put the enemy into, like, a really bad position. Her range wasn't all that great, which, you know, was probably to help balance things out there. It was pretty medium range. But you know, could put enemies into a really bad position, do some big damage, and be able to dash them to freeze them, or use her ability to freeze them. And I thought that was pretty cool. I like the way that they handled Rabbids. I was worried that introducing, like, you know, it felt like we had all the character types that we really needed at this point. Like, even before getting Bowser there, it's like, oh yeah, I have all the basic things I need to. What can I do now for a character that would change up the formula? But they did enough with that it was like, okay, I like what they did with this character, and then continue to do with Bowser by, you know, using things like the rocket launcher and the drone from the first game in new ways. I thought that was pretty cool there. So I like the way that they handled that, and the fact that her ability animation is like the whole book thingamabob that Rosalina would have going on. I thought that was pretty cool. I like that. And then finally Edge. Like, Edge is a perfect example of needing to look at the map and be like, is this a map that Edge would work? You know, like I mentioned before, it's not like the first game where it's like you can just make a favorite party of 3 and then easily get through the entire game with that. You really need to look at maps and decide like what's gonna work best here. And, you know, in maps where Edge really wasn't gonna work, it's like, yeah, I can't bring Edge because I'm gonna get like screwed if I do. But on maps where Edge really does work, it's like, oh yeah, I'm bringing Edge. I really like how Edge was the new character based around dashes. Like, I mean, all the Rabbids had like some form of extra dashes. Like, there was the weekend dash on Rabbid Luigi. There was a slight explodey dash from Rabbid Mario, which was like a super duper wimpy version of it compared to the first game. Rabbid Peach just had 3 dashes, and Rabbid Rosalina had the freezing dash. Edge was the one that had like the most number of dashes, which paired really well with the fact that you could chain it with Hero Sight or Steely Stare. I thought that was really cool. And the fact that you can put on like dash sparks just meant that, wow, you can do like such big damage with the dashes. And the fact that her movement range will extend every time after dashing, that was really cool. And let me play into my strategy where it's like, okay, I can team jump over there, I can dash here a bunch of times, and then I can run back, and then someone can team jump off of Edge because she now has the movement to be able to get back. That was really cool. Yeah, I gotta bring Edge so you can get an Edge. There was definitely battles like that where the multiple dashes really came in handy, and I really liked that. Her weapon, the sword, you know, it didn't go super far. It's a freaking sword. You'd think that'd be a melee kind of centric weapon. But the fact that her weapon type is still something that we also haven't seen since the first game, where it's like, it gets thrown, it does the spinny arc in a straight line, and then it comes back, and it'll, you know, damage everyone along that line. I thought that that was really cool there, and a creative way to add a new weapon type. I really liked that. And as I mentioned during, like, the visuals and stuff, you know, the overall character design of bringing a character that's just, you know, the most anime edgy character they possibly could, with a freaking bear trap fang jaws, and, like, the buster sword and stuff like that, and the crazy hair. I really liked Edge's design there, and she was a really fun character to play as well. I really liked the sword. I didn't use Stormblade as much. I think that the idea with Stormblade is like, alright, she has a sword, it has to be like a melee-centered ability, and if she's based around dashes, then she should, like, often be in the enemy fray. So Stormblade could be a potential good bail and some extra damage. But I typically didn't use it a whole lot because I was usually trying to find ways to get out and not risk me taking damage at all. I typically prefer things like Hero Sight and Steely Stare compared to Stormblade, and so I didn't put all that many points into it. But, you know, I don't think that it was a bad ability per se. It kind of sucked because I put no points into it. I got kind of screwed with it a couple times. But, you know, it was interesting. It had a hella cool animation. I really liked it. And yeah, that's all the characters there. Let's go to the next theme here. Is what we shall do. Been playing for a few minutes now. Let's go to the next theme that I really like. Pain to Palette Prime. This was a cool one. This was a fun one. Well, it starts playing there. The general gameplay, like, they could have just taken the gameplay of the first game, just like recycle it and been like, oh, here's a sequel, like so many game developers would do. But I feel like Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is such a good example of taking established ideas but doing something new with them. Like, it's still a similar gameplay system. You know, it's still a turn-based tactical shooter that's in the style of XCOM. You've still got, you know, half cover for 50% odds of getting the hit, full cover for 100% odds of, you know, being safe and stuff like that. The same general premises, but it was so different at the same time, because, as I mentioned before, in the first game, you could do movement, you could do shooting your weapon, or using either one of your weapons, or using either of your abilities in any order. You can do all those things, but once you've done it, it's like set in stone. Whereas this game, rather than being grid-based like the first game, it was, you know, kind of measurement-based in circles that you could go around. And you had like a lot more leeway. And I did love how if you just had like a little smidge of movement into like the next bit of cover, it would just give you the ability to go into that full bit of cover. It wasn't just like get pranked, you're not gonna get into that cover. So thank goodness for that. That was really, really nice there. The fact that this game is now like, alright, once you use your weapon, you're stuck in place unless you're Rabbid Mario, made me have to really change things up and really had to consider like all my movement phase first. And you know, at first, I did really like how it was handling Kingdom Battle, where it's like, you could do it in any order. But there were a lot of things that I couldn't do in Kingdom Battle, because it's like, oh man, if only I could move this person here, team jump someone else over that way, and then move that one person back, and then team jump the other person over, or whatever the heck. So, the new way that it was handled offered, like, a lot of new things that you could do strategically. It also took out some things that you could do strategically, like being able to shoot and then, like, move out of there. But, you know, it just made it different in a way that I think I actually liked more than the system of the initial game. And the new way that it handled things like team jumping, where in the first game you had to lock in your entire movement and then go at it. Where it's like, alright, go through this pipe, dash this person, team jump off of this person, land here. It's like you had to lock in that entire movement and then you just watch the sequence play out. Whereas in this game, you could actively do it, actually, you know, using the stick and moving your character around and strategizing like where you're gonna be and how you're gonna do this. I liked what they did for team jumping, where instead of locking in that exact position where you're gonna land, you team jump off and you see the little timer on Beepo, and, you know, try to figure out where you can go. Sometimes it was a little bit tricky if you're trying to eyeball, like, two things that you're trying to get in your movement range, like this enemy that you can dash and this jump pad that you can jump off of from there that would consume your team jumps. And there were some situations where it's like, I was off by just like a hair, where it's like, I could do the one thing, but I went a little bit too far that way, and I couldn't do the other thing that I wanted to do, and now that messed up my whole strategy. So at least you didn't really have to worry about that as much in Kingdom Battle, where it's like, yeah, you lock in the whole movement ahead of time. You could misclick A. That was one of the issues of Kingdom Battle, where it's like, you know, if you're trying to go up to a pipe and select to go through that, you could accidentally press A on the tile next to it, and then your character moves there, and has now used their movement to sit right next to the pipe instead of going through it. And it's like, man, what the heck? And I honestly, like, I don't think I got as much screwed by it during the playthrough on this channel, but during my first playthrough, before I was a content creator, that screwed me a decent bit, and I think I got screwed out more by that, by locking in my movement wrong, by just clicking A on a tile that it's like, oh, I guess you want to go there, not go through the pipe, or something like that, more often than I got screwed by, like, you know, landing out of a team jump in this game. You know, I got screwed in both situations, but I think I got screwed more in the first game than in this one, so I like what they were doing there. I like how the jump pads made it so that you didn't consume a team jump. So it's like, alright, if the devs are putting a line of jump pads, they want to give the player the ability to go all the way up or down this line and be anywhere along that line at pretty much any point. And I would play that into my strategy. I thought that it was a cool thing, and it made me think like, huh, how can I use this jump pad? Like, can I use this jump pad to get over here, and then team jump off of one of my allies, and then use this other jump pad? And it was cool. I really liked that. It really, it was a really interesting system there. Is there anything else about the combat specifically that I want to bring up? There will probably be other things that I want to bring up. I guess that there is the whole system of sparks, where, you know, each character had 2 abilities in the first game, but they were set in stone. Like, that's always what the character is going to be. You can power up those abilities, but, you know, the abilities themselves are set in stone. They're not going to be changing. Whereas in this, being able to change them out at any time before a battle, amidst, like, any sparks that you unlock, it made this game a lot more customizable and let you tailor it to your own strategies a lot better, and also be able to make strategies in accordance to each specific map a lot better, since, you know, each map was a lot more designed around the various different heroes, weapon types, and abilities than the first game was, and the fact that you can put, like, any 2 abilities from the ones that you have unlocked on each of them. It really offered a lot of opportunity for strategy, and I really quite liked that. This was a really good example of a game that makes you rethink a strategy for every single battle. A really bad example would be freaking Bravely Default 2, where it's just like, oh yeah, this enemy takes like 0 damage to this type of attack. Even regular types of weapons, like you use sword against this one type of enemy, guess they take 0 damage, which you're not gonna find out until you start the battle proper. As opposed to something like this where it's like, here's the whole map, Here's all the types of enemies that you're dealing with. Here's what their weaknesses are. Here's what they resist. Figure it out. Like, put your team together, manage your team, and mix and match, like, super easily. As opposed to, you know, something like Bravely Default 2, where it's like, man, I gotta change all my characters' classes. I gotta change my weapons around. I gotta figure out what things I can equip in this class. I gotta change out, like, my equipment if my enemy has something like, what's-her-face? Hanimal, or whatever the heck her name was. Where it's like, if you hit her, she's gonna immediately counterattack with blindness to your whole party. For some reason, it's like, well, now I gotta go around putting on a bunch of, like, blindness immunity accessories. Not because that's, like, good strategy, but because that's, like, the one solution here that the game told me was the solution. This is a lot better of an example of a game that very much is geared for you to rethink your strategy in each one. As opposed to the freaking joke of a system in Bravely Default 2, where it's like, yeah, go in there, and, you know, good luck. Because we're not going to tell you what to do here, just keep on going at it until you figure it out, and hopefully have the accessories that counter the one specific BS we're going to throw your way. This was a lot better balance. I very much liked it. I had almost all the information at the beginning. The only information that I was lacking was, like, what kind of reinforcements would be appearing. It would usually be the same type of enemies as are on the map anyway, so it usually wasn't too bad. But I do wish that the reinforcement portals would show you what enemies were going to come through there. Like, you can hover over, like, most enemies and see almost any information that you want to see. But I wish that you could hover over the portal and see what enemies it was going to spawn, and then do your strategy accordingly. Because there were times that it would be like, oh, there's a portal there that's going to spawn enemies on the next turn. At least it's not random ambush spawns like Fire Emblem, where they just come out of nowhere. It gave you the warning of the portal, but still. Where it's like, oh, it's just been a bunch of melee guys around here. And melee guys, they only have a melee attack. They don't have a lot of movement range. It's fine to have, you know, cover facing the actual enemies that are over here. And have my back facing, you know, the portal over there. Because they're not going to be able to hit me anyway. They aren't going to be able to get that close to their melee attack. And then the portal actually spawns enemies. And it's like, surprise! Here's a bunch of sniper guys that are about to, like, snipe you in the back and wreck you. And it's like, well, I would have done a completely different strategy if I knew that that's what was going to spawn and not, like, what I guessed, you know? So I wish that I had that information of being able to hover over a portal and see what it was going to spawn and be able to account for that in my strategy. That's something that I wish the game had done. But overall, the battle gameplay of this game, it was really good. I think my biggest complaint with it... Hold on, let me go to another theme, because we've been listening to this one for the past 8 minutes now. Let's see here. Another one that I really like. Here's a Yearning to Bloom, which, I believe this was the battle theme of fighting the Wiggler on the train. So this is another one of those themes that is only present for one battle, and that's it. And this is one that was done. This is another Yoko Shimomura one. Is a cool one there. My biggest complaint with the battles is that it was just too easy. Like, I was playing in hard mode, or demanding mode, as it's called. I've been putting hard mode in the titles of all these streams and parts when I slap them up on YouTube. Just because, like, that's the language that everyone understands. It's hard mode, and, like, you know, understand what that means. In-game, it's called demanding, technically. So I was playing on demanding mode, which should be, like, really challenging. And there were some battles that, like, really, really pushed my strategic thinking. But a lot of them, even in hard mode, like, I was able to scrape through, like, no problemo, not even have to worry about taking damage. And, like, I know that I've played a lot of strategy games on the hardest difficulties on this channel, so I know I have, like, experience playing strategy games. But I wish that it was, like, a bit more of a challenge for people like me that were seeking that challenge, and that's the whole point of difficulty modes. I don't think the first game had difficulty modes. I think it was just one mode, but this one had, like, normal, demanding, and whatever the easy thingamabob is, I think, for the 3 difficulty modes. A lot of the time, demanding wasn't that hard. And they were really long maps that, you know, weren't difficult. They were just really long. Like, take Midnight's boss battle, for example, where it's like, that, I was able to breeze through that, each one of these phases in, like, 1 to 2 turns. But, you know, I was starting to get a little bit bored just because I wasn't getting challenged. Again, that's not to say that there weren't maps to challenge me. Like, that final boss battle was really, really scary at points. That was a challenging final boss. I will not deny that. That was a good challenge there. I liked it, apart from, you know, the glitchiness that it was encountering with its unclarity. I guess we'll talk about that in a hot second. The battles that were typically unlocking sparks, those were usually really difficult. I guess I didn't want, like, the main mandatory story stuff to be too difficult, but, like, the optional really crazy side stuff, like secret zones, like, when they had battles, it was usually just random rounds of battles in secret zones. Actually, yeah, there wasn't any main battle in the secret zones. I'm losing my mind. But the main spark battles, stuff like that, were oftentimes really spicy. Or like the first world main boss battle, that was pretty spicy. Or no, was it the mid-boss battle? I think it might have been the mid-boss battle where we first recruited Edge. That was really spicy, I remember it being. The one against Midnight was not all that difficult. The one against Bedrock, that one gave me some challenge. That one was that was good. I like that. The ones on Terraflor, the Wiggler one it wasn't super duper hard, but it wasn't super duper easy as well. The Wiggler one I feel like was a good example of like a good middle ground where it's like it's difficult, it's not absolutely absurd, insane, but you know I still need to be thinking here and strategizing and stuff. I like the Wiggler one, or that one in the fifth world against what was her face, Daphne. That was pretty spicy too, where it's like she's gonna destroy your cover on the spot. Just try to advance towards her, like getting from full cover to full cover, while all these other enemies are harassing you as well. Figure it out. That was cool. I liked the Daphne boss. That was cool. That one I liked. I feel like the difficulty of the random encounter battles was, you know, as it should be. They were really easy. You know, the random encounter battles, they shouldn't be all that difficult. But I do wish that some of the story ones were a bit more challenging, because there were some of them, like whatever that map was that I did during the 24-hour charity stream, for example, that one with the hatchet and stuff, that one was just like a really long map that I did with Bowser, Luigi, and Rabbid Peach, I believe it was, where it was just like we're slowly going around the entire map until we get to the objective. But I never was all that concerned about taking all that much damage, and you know, maybe it was good that it was a pretty simple one, since, you know, I was really tired at that point, but you know, it wasn't all that challenging, and that was something that a lot of these maps suffered from. It was weird, because, you know, also the gates, that's what I was thinking of, the challenge gates from Madame Blastrella, those maps were challenging, those were a good challenge right there, I liked those. Those were pretty cool there. So there were definitely maps in the mix here that offered a lot of challenge, and, like, really made me sit and think there, but most of them weren't really all that difficult even on hard mode, and I wish there was some more challenge. Another good example is the mid-boss thingamabob of World 2 of Pristine Peaks, where it's like you had to use explosives to get through rock formation, from rock formation all the way to the top. Did I even take any damage during that one at all? And it was just like a really long map, since you had to go from, like, you know, gateway to gateway. So, you know, I wish that there was some more challenging maps like that. Maybe they figured that they wouldn't do that much challenge because you have so much to redo if you lost, but you know, still, it's the reason why I'm playing on hard mode, is because I want challenge, you know, is the case. So, the difficulty is a little bit of a complaint. I do wish that it was a little bit harder. Let's see here. Here's another cool one, Fuzzy and Fleeting. This is another good one. So much good music in this game. So much of it. What else about the gameplay? I really like the enemy types. In Kingdom Battle, there were enemies that did have, you know, a lot of the hero's abilities. But this game is basically like, you know, basically any hero ability that you have, you can see it being employed by some enemy in some form as well. Like the fact that I mean, there was a hero sight enemy thing in Kingdom Battle as well, just from like the little Ziggies that, you know, would do their hero sight equivalent thing. And it didn't show you any broadcasts of where it would be, but they would have medium range. Whereas this game was like, you had to deal with like the double shot snipers that would activate their single shot at hero sight. And it's like, huh, how am I going to deal with this? Can I have someone eat the hit? Can I activate a shield for it? Can I put down one of my summoned allies to take the hit? Can I use Rabid Mecha Koopas? Like, how am I going to deal with this? Or maybe just avoid it for the turn and wait for it to wear off. You know, might put me in a bit of a tricky position if, you know, I'm behind cover and they use hero sight and now I'm locked into this position, or else, you know, eat a hit as the cost of escaping, unless I can get someone else to eat the hit, or, you know, do something like Rabid Mecha Koopas. I liked stuff like that, where it's like basically any ability the heroes had could be seen being used by the enemies in some way. I thought that that was pretty cool, and I really like the sniper doodles in this game using the hero sight thingamabobs. That really made me have to rethink my strategies in a lot of cases. So I liked stuff like that. That was pretty neat. Was there anything else generally about the gameplay that I wanted to bring up? I guess just like the open-ended nature. The first game was a lot more linear, since you would just go from level to level in basically a straight line. Sometimes you would go down an offshoot and do like a little puzzle over here, or like a secret level sometimes. But but typically you just had to go, like, straight line level to level. And while the main quests in this game, you still have to do them, like, linearly, you still have, like, these open areas with each of the different planets and worlds where you can go around doing, like, all sorts of things. Like, you can get, you know, you can get planet coins to work up towards the secret zone and weapon skins and stuff like that by doing these various different side quests. You can get, like, lore entries. You can solve some... There's a lot of very interesting puzzles in them. Some of the riddles I wasn't super big on. Some of the riddles is like, how was anyone supposed to complete that specific information? But the riddles, for the most part, were pretty good. Those side quests were kind of cool. The Silly Fish Truck Challenge was a fun little mini-game thing or bob. The various quests that you had around were generally pretty cool. I wish that there was more different types per planet. I feel like once you've done, like, all the quests in one planet, you basically understand what all the quests are going to be like on all the planets, because it's, like, the same distribution. There's going to be a green coin challenge, there's going to be a red coin challenge, there's going to be a silly fish truck challenge, there's going to be, like, a reach area one, there's going to be one or two for two specific heroes, which was a cool way to change up, like, the battle formula, just having two specific heroes in that were preset. That was cool, I like that. You know, it's the same general distribution, you know. But, you know, it was enough of a distribution that it never got, like, boring and, like, a slog. You know, like, I did generally appreciate still being able to go around and do that, get the planet coins, get that sweet, satisfying progress. There wasn't as much of incentive, well, as much incentive to explore around in the first game. You can still explore around for collectibles, but that was basically it. It was, apart from that, it was basically, like, a linear path, and that was it in that game, as opposed to having these, like, open areas with quests all around them. You know, it's not an open world game, it's still a linear game. But it's a linear game with open world aspects, and I appreciated that. And I thought that it was cool to just, like, explore around and do these side quests and get the completion, get some more lore, stuff like that. It felt a lot more satisfying than exploring around in Kingdom Battle, because exploring around in Kingdom Battle is just like, where are the collectibles down the little cubbies that you missed? And, where in this entire area, on this one straight path all the way to the end, where is, like, the secret path along that way that leads to the secret level? You know? Whereas secret levels in this are, like, they're marked on the map with side quests, or they're the secret zone, which are marked on the map, and just do enough side quests so you unlock the thing. You know, it's a lot easier to keep track of, and I appreciate that. I was a lot better able to stay on top of it, instead of needing to Google, where in this entire area is, like, the secret level thingamabob that I can do? So I much preferred that. Is there anything else about this game to talk about? I've been going on with this review for a while, because I have a lot of things to say about this game. Generally, yeah, I really like this game. No, it wasn't perfect. I definitely had my fair share of complaints about this game, as I've voiced here. The biggest thing is being, you know, reinforcement portals not showing what enemies there's gonna be. The final boss theme wasn't all that great. Sometimes you'd be off with, like, your team jumps by just, like, a pixel, and it's like, well, there goes my whole strategy down the drain. There were some very big immersion-breaking visual glitches. So, you know, and probably some other things I mentioned and I'm forgetting right now. So it definitely wasn't perfect. I do definitely have my complaints with this game. But, generally, I really enjoyed this game. I really liked it. You know, if the issues that I had were fixed, this would probably easily be my game of the year. Without the issues, or with the issues included, without them being fixed, I don't know what my game of the year would be. It would either be this, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or Triangle Strategy. It'd be one of those three, but they're honestly pretty close. Unfortunately, none of those games are, you know, well, I don't think I've ever played a video game that's flawless, but each one of those games has, like, a good handful of stand-up flaws that prevents them from overtaking the others in my mind. But if I had to choose, like, my 3 games of the year this year of new releases, it'd be Triangle Strategy, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So not perfect, but I love this game. This was good. I really like this. And I feel like this is a really good example of a game where you could make the argument of, like, you know, while it has some visual glitches and hiccups, it's a lot better of an example where it's like, you know, there's such a good game underneath the surface here that, you know, you can kind of look past it. Though I also can't look past it in some instances. I'm just saying that in regards to Scarlet and Violet, where some people look at that and things running at like 2 or 3 FPS, and it's like, oh, you know, this level of quality is excusable because the rest of the game is so fun. And everyone's entitled to their own opinions and yada yada. But in my opinion, the level of quality of something like Scarlet and Violet is way too far over the line, like, not so great. Whereas something like this is like, ooh, those visual glitches are pretty rough. And they do interrupt the flow of gameplay, and do interrupt my immersion in some cases. Like, some of them were pretty bad. But the game itself was just like, and I'm such a big strategy game nerd as well. So maybe there's some bias there. But the actual game here was like so fun, and like the rest of it was actually so fleshed out. And so much better than it needed to be, like the music situation with 3 legendary composers, for example. They rarely went ham on this game. Like, they really went to all out. Well, not all out. If they went all out, then there wouldn't be the immersion-breaking visual glitches, but, you know, I'm willing to look past them a lot more than in something like other cases like that. Not to the point that I, you know, completely ignore that they're an issue, because they are. They're one of my biggest complaints with this game. But I'm so enamored with, you know, the rest of this game that I just overall really loved this game. This was pretty great. I really loved it. I'm gonna pause that. I'm gonna turn back on the thingamabob, and then I think I had it at this audio level, something like that. I don't remember. I'm just gonna load into the game just to see if there's any cutscene of 84% game completion. I have about 40 hours in this game now, huh? I just want to see if there's like a cutscene coming back in, or if it'll tell me that the level cap's changed or something like that. We might return with this game at some point. You know, we might come back and do the other side quests and stuff like that, and maybe some of those other challenging battles, because I do like the strategy gameplay of this game. But the main playthrough is... Oh, we will for sure do the DLC when that's out. Okay, and Curse of Stronghold is done. You just do that, like, one time. So is 30 really the level cap? And you have to, you know, just kinda assign your skill points accordingly and whatever you feel is the best with, you know, those points. Which on one hand means that you can like customize it a little bit in your own unique way, whatever feels the best for you as a player. But it's also pretty unsatisfying knowing that I'll never have a perfect skill tree. Yeah, that's... Huh. Let's see here. I think it... Whoa. Weird. Yeah, I think it really is just like that, essentially. Are you sure you want to deactivate all skills and get your skill prisms back? Whoops. Oh, I pressed X for reset. Whoopsie oopsie. I thought there was something new happening, and I can still unlock spark branches, but why would I want to put points in that if I can't even max out the thingamabobs here? So, yeah, on one hand, it's like, you know, each person's experience is going to be a little bit different in terms of how they assign their things. But man, is that unsatisfying to never have, like, the fully complete tree. That's what's going on here. Maybe you'll be able to in DLC. There's going to be 3 waves of DLC for this game releasing in 2023. I forget what they all are. I think the first one that's coming out is going to be like a challenge tower or like a challenge battle mode thingamabob. And then I think the second one is that they're going to add a new planet, so another like set of objectives to do and like side quests and stuff like that. Add another planet to the mix. It could be, the order of those could be reversed. It could be the other way around. Yeah, maybe DLC would raise the cap. There's the chance in that. And then apparently the final DLC is going to be kind of like Donkey Kong Adventure was, where it's like a whole other side campaign that's smaller than the main game, but is basically like a whole mini game in and of itself, which apparently will feature the 3 playable characters of Rayman, Rabbid Peach, and Rabbid Mario, which I've complained about this before when it was first announced what the crossover was going to be, because I was really looking forward to the first time that Rayman would cross over with Mario. But no, instead it's just going to be Rayman crossing over with the Rabbids who crossed over with Mario. Maybe there'll be some cutscene or something like that in it where Mario and Rayman finally meet. That'd be hella cool. I like Rayman. I haven't played a Rayman game in a long time, but I generally like Rayman. And, you know, covering Rayman for the first time on this channel with Sparks of Hope, where he's going to get, like, some sort of a gun, I guess, is going to be really cool to see. And what I'm going to put out this bet right now. What do you bet that when Rayman does a team jump, rather than gliding on Beepo, he's gonna have, like, his hair spinning animation thing to glide over to where he goes? Like, that's gonna be such a missed opportunity if they don't do that. There's no way they wouldn't do that. It's such a staple for Rayman. They would have to do that, right? So I'm gonna bet right now that, Rayman has, like, the hair spinning thingamabob when he releases for this game. And yeah, hopefully there'll be, like, some sort of a crossover with, you know, Mario and his friends and stuff like that. Because, you know, Rayman's gonna be fighting Mario enemies and stuff like that, like Goombas and, you know, Magikoopas and stuff like that, presumably. Like the enemies that you face in this game. Wow, that's certainly something over there. So, you know, I might come back to do, like, the side quests of the main game at some point here. It's a little bit unsatisfying now if, you know, I can't gain levels anymore. I could never max out those skill trees. That might, take away my motivation a little bit from what it once was, knowing that I can't level up anymore. Whoa! You know, at least it's stuff that's all the way on the other side of the world, and not stuff that's right next to you, like another game that we're constantly comparing this to that has visual glitches in and of itself. And unlike that other game, the world itself generally, you know, it doesn't look like an absolute masterpiece of a world. It doesn't look as breathtaking as something like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But generally, the worlds of this game are charming, and they, you know, they fit what they are meant to. And, you know, they're not stand out like masterpieces of worlds where it's like, oh my goodness, this looks absolutely amazing, but it looks nice, and they look charming, and I like them, generally. Well, yeah, one more thing that I can talk about is just, like, you know, enemies out in the open world and stuff like that. I like that, you know, there's a traditional leveling system in this to change things up. Again, use established ideas from the first game, but, you know, take the game in a very different direction. Like, if you play Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle and then Sparks of Hope, there is going to be things that feel similar, but it's going to also feel, like, very different. You know, and I really like that. It's like the Xenoblade Chronicles games, another Xenoblade comparison there, where it's like, all the games use a similar idea of, like, it's a real-time combat system with arts that recharge, but the gameplay systems overall of each game is completely different. In Xenoblade 1, it's like, here's 8 arts and a talent art, and they're locked in for each character, and, you know, go at that. That's what each character has. You can change them out among some other arts that they unlock, but, you know, everyone's role is kind of set in stone. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was like, each character can equip 3 blades, and each of those blades can equip 3 arts out of 4 that they would have. And throughout the battle, you would, like, switch out which blades you're actively using. So if you have a party of 3, then each of them has 3 blades that each have 3 arts. So, you know, you're bringing in 3 drivers that each have 3 blades, and are bringing 3 arts. That's, like, the customizability is a lot greater, and that's pretty cool. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is just like, yeah, let's just have a class system. Everybody can go into a different class, which will have, like, 3 arts that you set, a talent art that you can set as well, and the 3 arts are among, like, 5 choices. And then the 3 other arts are just, like, whatever you choose from stuff that you've unlocked from other classes. So, it's like, each game has been similar in that they're a real-time battle system with, you know, rechargeable arts, but the way that they're handled is completely different, you know? So, it's like, there's a little taste of something familiar if you played the other games, but it's still a different game. You're getting a different experience with each title. And I'm really glad that that's what's going on with Sparks of Hope here as well. Where, as I mentioned before, they could have just been like, yeah, let's do Kingdom Battle over again. But they were like, nah, let's have these open-ended areas to explore with the planets. Let's have a traditional base level system. Let's have each of the characters become a lot more unique and stand out. Let's have customizability with being able to put a couple sparks on. Let's take away the grid-based movement and instead have it be like a range that's more circular and stuff. Change how things like team jumping work. Let's change how the movement system works in battle. And it's like, oh my goodness, this definitely is, you know, a similar game to the first one. It borrows similar elements, but it does something completely different with them. It's a different game. If you play Sparks of Hope, you're getting a very different experience of Kingdom Battle, even if they're, you know, building off of the same base. And I feel like that's really important within the gaming industry when you're making sequels or follow-up games, is to do, you know, something that is based off of the ideas that you established before, and, you know, uses things that people like, but also does something new and delivers a different experience that the players that have played the previous games haven't experienced before. And I like that. I like that a lot here. And I liked this game. I think that's probably all I have to say about my review. I wanted to get this game done so we could focus on some other games around the channel. So, you know, we might be back to this game. We might not if I feel a little bit too swamped with other games going on the channel. I could see myself coming back here and, like, finishing off the rest of the side quests, getting the planet coins and stuff like that. Because this was a satisfying game to get completion percentage. And I could probably do it in, like, what, 2 or something more streams. So, we might. But no guarantees if the schedule's a little bit too crazy. But we will definitely be coming back to this game eventually no matter what for DLC. So, there's that. There's that. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Why not? Maybe I should have been doing that out in the open world a lot more instead of waiting until battle. I always figured just in case I brought Rapid Peach, I wanted to heal at the beginning of battle. Something like that. Alright, well, this has ended up being a long review there, but I think I basically expressed all the things that I wanted to express. So yeah, it's not perfect. It had some glaring flaws here and there, but I really liked this game. This was a good video game that I quite enjoyed. I would have enjoyed it more had some of the issues I had been a little bit more fleshed out, especially the weird graphical issues. But overall, yeah, I loved this game. This was a really cool strategy game. It was really, really fun. It was a good time. So yeah, whenever we're back to this game next, until then, we're going to be doing other games around here. So thanks all who stopped by and hung out for this session of shenanigans, and I'm going to be heading out of here for now. So until next time, take care and see you. Goodbye!